Well, good evening, everybody. This is the Weather Monkey. I know what everyone's thinking. What the heck am I trying to do here? Well, I'm trying to... Basically, I'm trying to focus my camera on my iPhone camera. So I'm using my Panasonic camera to focus on my iPhone camera, which is set up out on my mirror. But every time I get it close, the color fades away. And I mean, you can see the ground up there. That's not snow up there. That's just a white row of actually sandbags that was put out there on the edge of the runway at the airport. So I'm trying to get the color to focus in a little better. And if I pull it out some, it's hard to tell where the color is. There are some reds and some greens, but I think they're starting to fade a little bit. And the camera doesn't seem to want to hold them. Seems like they want to fade away on the camera, which is disheartening, to say the least. So I'll sit here. I'll play with it for a little longer. We'll see what comes of it. Because it seems like it's fading away rather quickly right now. As a matter of fact, there's not a whole lot left, unless it's sliding. If it's sliding to the west, which it appears it's doing. So I'll move the camera a little bit again in a minute. But you can see some in the sky. Maybe we'll just have to wait for it to cycle a little bit, because it seemed like it was much brighter about 10 minutes ago. Seemed like right before I went live, it was brighter. So if I could zoom in on it with the camera, I would, but it doesn't want to zoom. I mean, I can zoom the camera in, but it kind of distorts everything, so I'm better off just leaving it out a little bit. See, now it's starting to get brighter again. And I'm not sure if I put it closer to the camera, if it would show up brighter or not. Let me move this to the dead side over here. Yeah, it doesn't make much difference. But this is the Weather Monkey, and it's been a while since I've streamed, and there's really been no reason to stream. I thought this would work out a little better than it is. I actually have the camera hooked up to my mirror, so if I want to move my phone, I just move the mirror. There's a little bit better spot there, I guess. There's some trees there. But I think it's actually weakened from what I can tell from the time I went live. I was thinking I could put the camera closer. It does look like it's lost focus again. So maybe I should try to focus it some more. Maybe that'll help. Seem to be making much of a difference. It seems like it's really out of focus now. But then I look, and it's really not that bad. And then I move it, and it's out of focus again. And you can't really see it. I mean, you can see a little red in there, but that's it. Yeah, there's not much going on. I think it's all disappeared. Let me take my camera off of here. You're not going to see anything for a minute, and let me scan the horizon. There's a little bit right there. Let's see if I can get that on there. I'm going to change the... There's some right there. If nothing else, there's some nice stars there. But there is some red towards the top. And now it looks like it's moved away from that spot. It's not like last night. I think I'm going to move to a different spot where I don't have this light behind me. I'm not going to leave my phone on the mirror. So bear with me for a minute. I'm going to try to find a spot where there's no lighting behind me. it is. If I go behind the building over here, nah, there's lights in there too. I thought maybe that parking lot over there wouldn't have any lights on it. Find a different spot, I guess. So we'll go over here, up around the corner of this parking lot we're going to go into. It used to be called Lake Center Industries, and then I think it's sold out to TRW Automotive, and then it sold out to BCS or BSC Automotive Components, and yeah, it's all lit up over here too. But the only place it's not lit up is at the airport. But they manufactured parts for Ford, Toyota, I'm not sure the other companies, and what they made is their heater controls, stuff like that. There's a couple of vehicles parked over here, but I'm not sure if they're watching the lights or if they're off on a plane. A jet did fly out of here, I don't know, around 6 o'clock. So it's possible that those cars are all parked there for that reason. Okay, let's see if it makes a difference over here. There's not as much light in front of us. So let me put my camera back out. Go back to the camera, put it back where it was, make sure my headlights are off. When the headlights go off, that fence you won't be able to see it. Let's try over here a little. Yeah, I can see a little red down at the bottom. Move it a little bit. Not much to see. I was kind of looking to see if the focus would change a little bit on those lights out there. Yeah, I don't really see much going on. Check something here. So it was windy earlier today, and it's really, really calmed down as far as the wind goes. So it was windy earlier today. Yeah, I turned my other phone on. Turn my other phone on just to take a look and see what it looked like through my other phone. But yeah, like I said, it was really windy this morning. Or not this morning. I think the wind was about 10 miles an hour this morning when I went out. And it wasn't a cold wind, but it wasn't a warm wind either. It was definitely better than it was Sunday morning. I about froze walking Sunday morning. I think the wind chill was about 11 degrees. I knew not to walk on the highways. There's a lake, and there's a highway on one side and park on the other. And I knew it would be cold on the highway side, especially if I walked westward, because the wind was out of the west. And I stayed on the park side of the lake. And I got just a little bit over 3/4 of a mile, and I said to myself, that wind's going to be really cold walking back. So I turned around early. Usually I walk a mile, and depending on what day it is, I walk different directions at different places. And Sunday mornings is usually I walk a mile. I start out at one place and I walk a mile, then I turn around and walk back. But that wind was so cold. I mean, when I was walking eastward, I didn't even feel it. It was on my back. But I knew it was there. It was somewhat pushing me. So I knew it was a strong wind. But boy, when I turned around and started walking back, first thing I said is I should have worn my hat with the mask in it. So I pulled my stocking cap down as far as I could be able to see. And then I took the collar of my jacket and I turned it up and kind of got it to run up above, well, not above my face, not above my mouth, but near my mouth. And probably ended up covering about 60% of my face on my way back. When I got back, I was cold. So the next day I grabbed my stocking cap with the section that you pull over your face, and it covers your cheeks and your nose and your mouth. And I never, being a guy, I just never thought, why would somebody want to wear a scarf? But I think I know why now. Because when that wind's blowing, and you're bundled up good. You got a nice coat on, nice pair of gloves, nice hat. It doesn't make any difference if that wind gets around your neck. So if you wear a scarf underneath that jacket around your neck, if it's really cold, I think that's a good idea. But, I never wore a scarf. I'm sure I did when I was 10 years old. My mom sent me out in the cold. I had 3 paper routes. I guarantee you I had a scarf around my neck then. But I'm talking, high school, in your 20s, 30s, 40s. Yeah, you wouldn't wear a scarf. Yeah, when I was much younger, I had 3 paper routes. Try and remember if there were 2 in the afternoon and 1 in the morning, or 2 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. I don't quite remember. 20 years, you'll say something about you had a paper route, and the people will look at you like, what's a paper route? Because there probably won't be any more newspapers, which I think is funny, because people still, it's up to you. You want to go out in front porch and pick up a paper and read it every morning, twice a week, whatever, once a week. If you want to go out and do that, that's all the more power to you. It's not going to change my life one way or the other. But I just think it's funny how most papers, they lean to the progressive side. And they push progressivism a lot in newspapers. But they're still printing newspapers the way they did 100 years ago. So, not to get picky, but you preach progressiveness, but you don't do anything to make your own industry progressive. Printing newspapers is about the worst thing you can do for the environment. Trees are like corn. It grows and you cut them down. You make pulp, you make paper. But there's a lot of factors that go into making that newspaper that if you were truly a progressive, you wouldn't buy that newspaper, because it goes against pretty much everything a progressive person believes in to a certain point. You can't ruin the world with production of this and that and this and that, but you'll go out and buy a newspaper every day that has to be delivered to your house. It didn't get there by itself. Somebody had to bring it, and somebody had to use energy to bring it to your house. And somebody had to use energy to go cut those trees down. Somebody had to use energy to produce that pulp. Somebody had to use energy to make that paper and then ship it to the newspaper to run on their printing presses that take energy. So all these little increments of production that you have to use energy for, and these individuals get up every morning, they go out and grab their newspaper and read all the progressive stories in it, and they believe they're progressive. Well, really, they're not, because if they were real progressives, they wouldn't put up with all that being used to produce that newspaper and deliver it to their door. Plus, you also have to throw it away. Yeah, you can recycle it, but That means the recycling truck has to come pick it up. The recycling truck has to take it to the station where they separate it. It's got to be separated. Another truck takes it away, takes it to another factory. Then they make pulp out of it again, but they got to use bleach to make it white again. Yeah, it's just... The point is, if they just did it electronically and never had a newspaper again, they'd be farther ahead. And there's nobody out there wanting to deliver papers anymore. So that's my point. Okay, what do we got going up out here in the sky? Not much. Not much at all. Let me move my camera here. See if I can see anything going on out there. I don't think I'm gonna. I don't see anything. Not to speak of. Let me put this back on here again. Well, not much going on. Especially when I turn it off. That's my granddaughter. She's a little older than that now, but... Go back to my camera here. Let me go put this back. And I got to make sure I put it in the right spot out here too. Because if I don't, it would not be good. If the camera falls off there, it's probably going to be junk. See, there's a little bit of color out there. Not much. Let me see if I can bring it in a bit. Like I said, I have it on the mirror. So I move the mirror. And everything's the opposite. It's trying to focus. Let me straighten it out a bit. There. Yeah, that's straighter. We need one more flare up. One more flare up, or a nice plane land. Would that make things even better? Looks like I'm too high in the sky. There, let's try it right there. Let's see if we can get anything to fire up here in a little bit. There's not much going on. Yeah, I can take this and move it back over. Yeah, it has calmed down quite a bit. Just looking through my windshield. Just looking through my windshield, I can see it's not as intense as it was earlier. But we can give it a little longer. It's kind of interesting. If I open my door, I could swing it out farther. And I wouldn't have to move anything because the camera's mounted to my door. The cell camera, which is the actual camera that's getting the image, is mounted on my mirror, and the mirror's mounted to the door. So if I open my door and I move it, nothing changes. It stays the same. Other than you get to listen to the Ford ding. That spot looks a little interesting, doesn't it? Let's see if we can move it out a little farther. I can only go so far or I'll lose my plug-in. But right there actually looks like it's looking pretty good. So let me shut my door and let me move my camera. Let's see if we can get that over there a little better. Yeah, I don't want to talk to anyone.
Okay.
I accidentally hit the Siri. No, now, never mind. I've got two iPhone 14s, and I said the word, and the other phone's like, like, did you call me? That's funny. So that looks like it's starting to fire up again. Fortunately, the wind's pretty much died down, and It's not too cold out. 41 degrees this time of night. That's almost balmy. So it does look like it's starting to increase again. There's some greens in there. And this is the Weather Monkey, of course. And if you could like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Tried to build up a few more subscribers and a few more likes between now and the next weather event, which will probably be snow. Although we have had some decent storms in late November up to about a week before Christmas. There's been storms, but not often. And they're short-lived. So, we'll see. It's starting to get a little brighter. I think it's becoming more active. Maybe we'll get some really good reds to show up. So I'm trying to figure out how long I can run without my display going out and my power pack charging. And it's been about 40 minutes or 45 minutes from the time I turned the key off and basically set it in accessory mode, which, in the older cars, accessory mode, you turned it back towards you counterclockwise, and the radio would stay on, would never shut off as long as you had it in accessory mode. Well, these newer vehicles, this Ford anyways, you can't turn it counterclockwise to an accessory mode. You put the key in, you turn it to accessory mode, you turn it to ignition, and then you turn it again, and it cranks the engine. And it'll time out to save the battery at about 45 minutes. And it's a new vehicle. I just got it in October. It times out after 45 minutes. Everything just shuts down. So I kind of wonder if I turn the key off real quick, turn it back on, if it'll give me another 45 minutes. And I'm not sure when I actually started here. But it's probably been I don't know. I don't remember. So I think I'm going to, you'll never know. You might hear a ding or something or whatever. But I think I'm going to turn it back forward to where it says crank, basically, if I turn it again, and then turn it back and see if it'll give me another length of time. So, I mean, everything will stay on because everything's still charging. So, because I have everything plugged into a power bank. I bought one of those power batteries or whatever at Harbor Freight. It's called a Predator, 350 watt. And I plug everything into it, so the only thing the car charges or the truck charges is the power pack. And it usually keeps up. I've noticed on a full charge, it'll last 35 hours. That's with the car charging it and then all the power being taken from it. 35 hours. So I don't think I got to worry about running out of the power pack supply when I'm driving. So let me do this. Let me turn it over. Now you can see I put it on accessory. Okay. So if I start it, let it run for about maybe a minute or so. Turn the heat up, let it warm up in here a little bit. Yeah, it kind of washed my color out, didn't it? Let me turn these off. Okay, it should come back now. Let it run for a minute, then shut it off, and it'll give me another 45 minutes. So, let me turn this up just a bit. See if I can do it with the mirror. Yeah. So that's what it looks like right now. So what time is it? 11:05. If I'm still out here at 11:40, it should be still running. It'll take a minute for that to time out on the running lights or the parking lights, and then we'll be set. It's kind of weird because I'm not moving. So something's moving because the camera keeps being a little jittery. See, it looks like it's getting a little bit more active again. Well, how did my clock quit working? It says it's 10:15. It's not 10:15. Let me see if I can fix this. Here, well, forget that now. It's probably better off not there anyways if it's going to act like that. Okay. I don't know where my clock went. It's just gone. Is that it right there? Did it just get... No? Let me see if I can hide that. Is that it right there? Did it just shrink? Now the time's right. Yeah. This software I have is really nice. It's made for MacBook Pros and MacBooks Airs. Starting to get some towers on it. I see that the top of it's starting to shoot a little higher. And as low as it is in the sky, I can't imagine they're seeing it down into southern Illinois and Arkansas and stuff tonight. It looks like it's starting to get a little bit more intense. I should probably plug in my phone out there on the mirror. Forgot I didn't even have it plugged in. If my cord's long enough. Which I don't think it is. See, this stuff goes to... This goes strictly to all my wiring for my cameras. So I have to find the cord that plugs in. This isn't it. I have no idea where this goes. Okay, I'll have to turn a light on here. Is this it? Why would I have unplugged it? I don't know. This is a USB. The other end's what's important. That's not it. I need the end to... This one isn't the one going to work either. This goes to what it's supposed to go to. So where is the other cord? So anyways, yeah, like I said, I got a different vehicle than I had before. And I liked the other vehicle I had. I had a Bronco Sport. It was the Badlands edition. I liked it. Got great gas mileage. But it was just such a rough ride. Unibody construction.
Suzanne Cooper, FaceTime video.
Gosh. Oh, let me take this call here. I might have to move the phone. If I do, I'll let you know. Well, the person calling me hung up, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, here's a cord I can use. I know it's 11:12 at night. Who'd be calling me at 11:12 at night? Yeah. This one isn't long enough. So I gotta find a longer cord to hook to my phone, which is outside on the mirror. I'm almost certain I have one. But we shall see. Because that battery in that phone is not in the best of shape. So I don't know if I'm going to find one or not. That one ain't going to work, or isn't going to work. I end up taking every wire out of here. And I still won't find one that works. Worst comes to worst, I can change phones. Yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Okay, let me go through this bag. Okay, what do I have here? Oh, that one's not going to work. I'm looking for a cord with a USB long enough to lightning for my phone. I think I would have one. But I'm beginning to doubt that I do have one long enough to get from inside the vehicle to outside the vehicle. So, no, that one isn't going to work either. Looks like I'm up shit creek. Because I don't have one. There's not one in there. Well, the good thing is I can change phones. It just seems weird that I don't have a longer than 3 feet USB-C to lightning cable. Even the one I had yesterday wasn't that. This is an iPhone, iWatch charger. This here is a, well, you can't see it, but AC camera supply, power supply that I don't use anymore because I have a USB for that camera anyways. And this here is an accessory plug-in. Not sure what this is to. Maybe it charges my flashlight. This here is the other charger to the other camera. I might have something here. Let's see. It's not long enough either. And that won't reach either. Especially if the... Nah, no way. That doesn't reach. Okay, let's see what this is. Okay, this one is USB to USB. This one is USB to USB-C. Actually, I think this one is a USB micro. Here's one more cord. That's not going to work either. So, note to myself, get an 8-foot USB-C or USB-A to lightning cord. And I don't have an adapter to plug these together. I've got 3 USB-A or USB-Cs to lightning, but they're all only 3 feet long, and I need 4 feet. So, the frustrating thing about it is, I'm almost positive I had one longer. I just don't know what happened to it. So that's where I'm stuck. And I don't see any more. And I don't think I have one in the back either. This one here is USB-C to USB-C, which goes to the computer. This one here is USB to the camera for power. I don't see another one anywhere. Now, I suppose if I really I think I found one. right under my nose, and I didn't even know it. I think I had one in the center console. Now, can I plug this in here? No. Because I need a USB. Not a USB-C, but I've got one back here I can use. The question is, can I see it to plug it in? And with these USB-Cs, you don't know if you just can't find the slot for it or if you're putting it in the wrong way. Okay, it looks like that'll make it. Now the question is, can I plug it in without moving the phone? I guess I did. Didn't act like it was going into charge mode though. Oh well, I plugged it in. So I can see just a little bit of red starting to show up again. Well, that was my wife that called, and she didn't seem to call back, so maybe she accidentally called me. I would think she'd be sleeping by now. Speaking of sleeping, last night, I think I had the best night's sleep that I've had in probably 3 years. I don't even remember falling asleep. I wear a CPAP mask. I don't remember putting it on. I don't remember turning the TV off. And I'm thinking it was probably about 11:30. And then when I woke up, it was after 8 o'clock. And I didn't wake up all night. I didn't have to get up to go to the bathroom. I didn't wake up at 3:34 in the morning and fall back asleep. That happens. Pretty much slept all night. I slept so good I can't even remember the night before. I didn't realize these lights stayed on at this airport all night long. I mean, the taxi lights are off, but the actual runway markers are still on. That's weird how that keeps moving. I'm not sure if it's the camera that's moving a little bit. I guess it is. 'Cause I put my thumb on it and it stopped moving. But why is it moving? Is the question. So the lights are fading again, aren't they? So anyways, we were talking about the Bronco. I really liked it. Got good mileage. Had a lot of features on it. Probably every feature but a sunroof. And I didn't care for the sunroof anyways. But I bought it used and it had like almost 40,000 miles on it. I should have tried to find one with a lot fewer miles, but I guess in the end it worked out okay. But with all my storm chasing this last summer, I put like 20,000 on it, so I was getting close to 60,000. And when I took off from stop signs, I felt a shimmer in the transmission. Started hardly noticing it. It just seemed to get a little worse over a 2-month period. So I went on the internet and I checked it out. I guess they're having problems with the torque converters. And it is under warranty. So, I mean, if I went and had it checked for the next couple of months, I would have been okay. But the ride was so rough in town. I mean, out on the highway, you didn't notice it, of course. But driving around town, going over railroad tracks and speed bumps and stuff like that, it shook you pretty good. Not as much as the Outer Banks with the 1.5 engine, 3-cylinder. The Outer Banks has that small engine. The Badlands has the bigger engine, the 2.0. And the suspension's a little stiffer, or more forgiving, I guess, not stiffer. So that wasn't as bad, but I just didn't want to have it when it was out of warranty. So I was kind of looking at an F-150 STX, pretty bare bones. Extended cab, not a crew cab. And they have blind spot, they have emergency braking, they have all the safety stuff on them that you used to pay extra for. But I could buy a new Ranger for about the same price as a used STX F-150. So I ended up buying a Ranger. This Ranger has not a whole lot of options. It's got the 301A package, which gives you leather steering wheel, heated seats, power seats, both driver and passenger, power mirrors, heated mirrors, the 12-inch display instead of the 10-inch or 8-inch or whatever. It's the bigger display. What else does it have? Oh, sliding rear window, power, which is a plus because if it's not power, how many people actually reach to the back or get out of their car and go open the back window? Not very often. If you're sitting back there, you might open it. So it's got the power back window, the power seats, the heated seats, the power mirrors, the heated mirrors, the leather steering wheel, and dual zone heat. Other than that, it's pretty plain Jane. And one thing I didn't realize when I got it is it didn't have a 400 watt inverter plug-in anywhere. The 110, a house current, you plug in, didn't have it. It had a couple US in dash. It has a couple USB ports for the people in the back seat to use. But luckily, it's got a 12 volt in the console. So that accessory 12 volt, we call it the cigarette lighter. I can plug everything. Well, I can plug that into my power supply, my power pack, and run everything off the power pack. Other than that, I'd have been out of luck. I'd had to go buy an inverter and have it installed. So, got that one spot starting to shoot up above that fence post. See if we can go above that fence post there. Well, it does have power mirrors too. Power folding and heated mirrors. I guess that's what I'm out there again. Boy, it's changing rather quickly, I think. There's that one really bright spot starting to show up where it says 11:11 p.m., which the time isn't right again. Oh, let me go down and fix that. I didn't realize I have to do this every time. It's supposed to be taking a screenshot of that clock, so I don't know why it keeps not moving. I can actually see through my windshield. That the spots are at, where the spots are at that are getting brighter. I know what that is. That camera's, it's got a floating lens in it. And because it's dark, it's constantly trying to find a level. So that floating lens keeps moving around. Suppose if I could turn the stabilization off, it wouldn't do that, but I don't know how to do it. I mean, I could figure it out, but I'd have to turn the camera, I'd have to take it off the mount and look through it to see how you turn it off. And by the time I did that, you wouldn't be able to see anything. I'm going to zoom in and zoom out once, just to see if I can get the image a little sharper. Sometimes I wonder if, oh, I'm not going to get that wide angle if I turn it up. Suppose if I'd have mounted the camera on the outside of the window, maybe it'll work better. We shall see. We'll leave it where it is right here. Maybe zoom in just a bit more. I think if I keep that post in there just a bit, I think the camera actually focuses on that post and kind of keeps everything else in focus. I think they're starting to get some reds in there. Yeah, it's starting to flare up a little bit more. I don't know if you can see it or not, but right at the top of where those greens are in that light color, it's just starting to get a little bit of red in there. Well, the time changed a little bit. That's kind of odd. Usually that time stays relevant. I thought it did anyways. most of you probably don't know this, but just past the airport runway there, looks like there's a line of trees, and there are trees there, but there are also bluffs about 600 feet high, about a mile and a half to the north, and that's where the auroras are shooting over the top. On the horizon, and I am not sure, how close they are to the horizon once you get on top of the bluff. But you're looking out at about 2 miles at about a 600-foot ledge. So they could be closer to the ground, and they don't appear like they are in the shot because of those hills. I'll check my phone and see if it looks any different on my phone. So if you are watching, like I said earlier, if you haven't hit that like button yet, I'd appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you could do that for me, that would help with my upcoming videos, my future videos, being available to more people. But really, that spot there, looking out, that spot there is about the only spot I can see that's flaring up. So, if you'd like to comment, go ahead, say hi. I'll say hi back. Let me know where you're watching from, just out of curiosity. Should I give myself a heart just to see if it shows up? Should I say hi to myself? How about good evening, everyone? There, I'll send it to myself. See if it shows up on here. Yeah, I just sent myself a message. Yeah, I got one person that commented on my video. Myself. Now I'm going to have to find my glasses. Here they are. Southeast North Dakota. Well, I have been to North Dakota. I've been to Fargo, and I've been to, oh, what the heck's the name of that city north of Fargo? Can't remember right now. Grand Forks, is it? I believe so. I've been to Grand Forks. I had a daughter that went to school in Crookston, University of Minnesota. Quite the drive. Was an interesting several drives, but quite the drive. And of course, I've been to South Dakota, South Dakota, Interstate 90 corridor. I went to school out in the Black Hills, Spearfish. Interesting area. That's totally different than from Southeast North Dakota, but yeah. But both those states I like. North and South Dakota. But I tell you what, that Crookston is out in the middle of nowhere. My daughter went to school there on a soccer scholarship. Yeah. Scholarship. And she stayed there for a year. Then she transferred back home to St. Mary's in Winona. Graduated from there. Now she lives in Illinois near St. Louis. Her husband was in the Air Force, and he was at Scott Air Force Base down there, and he's since gotten out. Now he works for one of the major airlines. I have no idea what he does, but it's all on computers at home. But the first time I went up to the Grand Forks area, over to Crookston, I went up there in the spring for a school visit. And they put me up overnight in a hotel. But the grass up there was still brown. And drove home a few days later, and grass was a lot greener. And I've heard that from guys from out of town that play baseball too. They'll come down to Winona from like Crookston, Duluth, some of the other schools up there, and they'll come down to Winona to play their early season baseball games, and our grass will be green and it'll be mild. You know, temperature's not always the greatest, but it'll be mild. And we'll be cutting our lawns And I'll be talking to some of the guys from the schools up there, and their grass will still be brown. So there's definitely a difference in the weather, especially here in the valley. Along the Mississippi Valley, River Valley, they say we're pretty much level above as far as growing season and temperatures than they are up on the ridges out towards Rochester, up towards Eau Claire, Minneapolis. They actually say if they're like a 2, we're a 3 for our growing season, something like that, But it does stay milder down here in the valley. Usually our first snow will be just a really super wet snow that doesn't accumulate, or it'll be rain, and then 550, 600 feet above, on tops of the ridges, they'll get snow. And then in the spring, the same thing. Sometimes they'll get 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of snow up on the ridge. And down in the valley here, we'll just get rain. Especially if we've had a warm week or two above freezing in the 40s and 50s. And it seems like the valley just kind of holds the heat a little longer on certain low pressure systems where the air is being pumped up from the south. It gets stuck in the valley and just kind of rides up the river valley from like down near Dubuque and stuff, moves forward to the north from there. Just seems to hang on to the warmth of 1 or 2 degrees, and that makes a big difference. But when it's January, it's cold, just like it is everywhere else. A lot of people joke that Winona is the Bahamas of Minnesota. So, not quite that warm, but it does stay a little warmer. I had a lawn service, if you didn't know that, and I seem to always get out on the lawns and start cutting them a little bit earlier than other areas. Also, in the spring and fall, go up there to cut lawns, and it's a cold northwest wind. You get colder then than you do when you're out plowing snow in the winter. And it's not like you're not dressed for it. It's just you get up there and you're not used to that wind and you feel it. Whereas it's not as windy in the valley. So it looks like the Aurora is really settling down now. I don't see much at all. I know my throat's scratchy. I had a procedure done on Monday where they took a scope and they went down my throat. And a Barrett's disease, is that what they call it? And they go down in there and they clean some not so good cells off your esophagus. And if my understanding is correct, if you never had your throat scoped and those bad cells sat in there long enough, they could turn to cancer. And you'd end up with esophagus cancer. So the fact that my healthcare group of doctors do such a good job with me that I can't complain at all. You know, you hear about people, they get much older and, I never go to the doctor, I feel just fine. Yeah, you feel just fine until you don't feel just fine anymore. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that happens to. Well, I feel just fine. I'm not going to go to the doctor. And all of a sudden they feel they need to go to the doctor. And by then it's a tough hill to climb. Where I've been going to the doctor because I have a heart condition. I've been going to the doctor for at least 3-4 times a year for 20 years. And because of my condition, they do blood work, check everything out. And of course, as long as they're doing blood work for one thing, they might as well check for another. And, you know, found out my PSA was high. Went in and had that biopsied. Yeah, it was cancer. Did the appropriate things with radiation. I have to tell you this because if I didn't, I wouldn't be honest with myself or you. But I saw a video where a guy was taking melatonin, and he had convinced more than one person with prostate cancer to take melatonin. I'm not talking 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams. I'm talking 120 milligrams a day. So I did that. I took 60 milligrams before I went to bed, and I took 60 milligrams about half hour before I went in for radiation. Now they say melatonin kind of does the same thing as iodine does with radiation. It blocks your body from absorbing it. And it also stops the spread of prostate cancer blood cells and blood vessels. That's what they say. I went with it. Didn't bother me. What did I have to lose? So far, so good. I never had my prostate removed. But it's still there, but it, you know, the lights are on, but nobody's home. So, and then the esophagus. I went in for a colonoscopy because, you know, you go see the doctor after so many months, years, they say, okay, you need to schedule a colonoscopy too. So I did that. They did both ends. They did a whatever they call it for your throat and the colon. And they found some things they didn't like about my esophagus. So they came back and scoped it again and saw some problems. They've been taking care of them for 2 years now. And now I don't have to go back for another year. So that's why my throat sounds weird today. Back to that reason. I know that guy from Southeast North Dakota was on here for a while. I don't know if he's still on here or not, but I was out near Gary, South Dakota, this summer when that big tornado touched down. I was a couple miles from it. I came from the east, so I saw the storm moving towards me, so I basically just parked north of Candy, Minnesota, and kind of waited for it. But by the time it got to me, it was still producing storms and hail, but not like it was on the South Dakota side of the border. But I watched that tornado from that area over there moving east. And of course, I was never really close enough to have it threaten me. But it was definitely moving. And then that storm system kind of chased me all the way back to the Minneapolis area, which I try to stay away from. If you told me there was tornadoes developing over the western suburbs of Minneapolis, I wouldn't go into the city to watch them or get close enough to them. I have no desire to be stuck in traffic during a tornado. Things have really settled down. Well, I'll give it another, what time is it? Don't go by what it says on don't go by what it says on my time, because it's wrong. What time is it? 12:07. I'll give it another half hour, and if nothing else flares up, then I'll call it a night. I still got to get up in the morning, get out and walk between 8:30 and 9, so I don't want to stay up too late. It was kind of fun to stream tonight. Pretty much just disappeared. Not much left. I don't see it anywhere else out there. I don't even know if I'll wait another half hour. It's not going to do anything. Nothing's going to change. Let's move my camera over here. Little spot over there. this and move it over there a little. Well, now the clock seems to be working. I'm not sure if that's picking up on a cloud or if that's actually the Aurora. It's hard to tell. It seems to be getting brighter, so I'm going to go with it's the Aurora because there's not supposed to be any clouds. I can see stars all over the place. Okay, clock. You're gonna make me do it to you again, aren't you? Kind of looks like that area is starting to fire up a little bit again. It's like there's a sphere of brighter color coming out of the middle of it. I never really tried to see if I could zoom into a certain spot. I'm sure if you try to zoom in the dark like this, it just distorts everything. So what happens if I do zoom it up? Does it make a difference? I guess it does a little. I don't know, it looks like there might be something going on over here. There, it's a little better. A little bit harder than I wanted, a little bit farther than I wanted to go. What I should do is I should move over a little bit, straighten my camera out some, rather than have it at such an angle like that. This will wash out for a minute, but when I move, I'll bring it back a little. Try it like that. And then I can bring the camera back some, get a better angle on it. Plus I can warm myself up a little. It's starting to get chilly. Starting to get a little chilly. Well, I hope that didn't broadcast. I forgot. Hope you couldn't hear that. Turn that down. A little bit more activity out there now. Yeah, I should turn my seat warmer on. That would probably help. So I sat there for what, an hour? I had my laptop running, had 2 phones on camera, and I lost about 5% of my battery. A lot of movement in there. See the moon coming up. To the east of me. More east than north. But that solar radiation's got to be pounding that moon too. like I said, that darkness below is bluffs about 2 miles away, and they're about 550 feet high off the river. So all that you see dark underneath that doesn't mean, that's not really the horizon. The horizon, this flares are probably showing up right on the horizon. But because we're down in the valley, you see that spot where you can't really make any detail out because the hill's there. Maybe if I back out just a little bit, maybe that camera won't keep trying to focus on that spot. Let's see what happens there. See if it's a little better. Yeah, we're gonna have to do this again. Can't make up of its mind if it wants to keep running or not. They have gotten a little bit more aggressive. See how hot I can get it in here before I shut it off. Trying to focus on that light. That light ain't gonna go out, unfortunately. If I knew what all those buttons were for on my phone, I might be able to turn off that focusing button. That'll keep me warm for a while. The lights will go off in a minute. It's amazing how far sound travels. Now it seems to be fading out again. It was flaring up pretty good there for a few minutes, and now it's pretty much gone. It just keeps trying to focus. You think it would focus on that? You think it would focus on that post and that'd be good enough? It doesn't seem to want to take me up on that, does it? There, it doesn't want to do anything. I don't see much left. Let me scan a little bit farther to the west. There's not much happening over there either. I'm not going to help you with the camera or anything, but just take the phone off and kind of scan the sky. See if there's anything else left out there. There's maybe one spot right there. Other than that, I don't see anything. So where was that one spot? Bunch of light pollution over there. Right there is the one spot. That's about it. See if I can keep it focused on that one spot. Right there, that's about it. That right there is about it, right in the center of the picture there. But other than that, there's not much left. I remember one time when I was, probably 14, well, let me guess here. Get a little closer on the date. When did Old Yeller come out? The movie Old Yeller. About the dog. Well, anyways, I was at a movie theater watching that movie one night. Outdoor theater. And I don't know, I got out to go get popcorn or go to the bathroom. Oh, I don't remember, but I looked up. And this is at the movie theater. It's not super dark, dark enough to watch the screen. Or like rays of light just shooting up above and pulsating everywhere you looked. That was probably the most intense northern lights I've ever seen. And if I was guessing the year, I'd have to guess like 71, 70, right in there. But they were intense. It's starting to get a little active, a little bit more active. It's nice to see that my battery's staying charged. Remember, if you were watching this last fall of storm chasing, seems like my battery kept wanting to die. But it's staying charged now. It's at 100%. It's been 100% all night. I think the cable that I'm using is much better cable. Carries a lot more power. I think the other cables were so thin and cheap that they wouldn't carry enough voltage. This is starting to improve a little bit. So my clock, the time is changing on it. That's weird. It should be changing. It should be changing on the screen too. But for some reason it's not. It's weird. Starting to get a little bit more reds in there. don't know if anybody heard that, but I just heard about 8 rounds go off. Quite a ways away. If you didn't hear it on the stream, that's how far away it was. We'll mark that at 12:49 in the morning. My Apple Watch is telling me I need to stand up. Stand up and move. Well, normally I'd be sleeping right now, so. See, now it's pretty much disappeared. Just kind of comes and goes. I no more than said that, and now it's starting to flare up again. It's got that one spike up the middle. So I'm watching this. Actually, I have four images of what the picture is being, what's being recorded. I got the camera out the window, which is the initial recording. And I've got my Panasonic camcorder taking a picture of what I've got on the iPhone. And then that's being transferred to my streaming software. And I'm watching my stream on my infotainment system. So every one of them, it looks different on. It actually looks better on the streaming software display on the MacBook Pro than it does coming off the iPhone camera. And it's going through the camcorder to get to the MacBook Pro. But it looks the best on the MacBook Pro. Figure that out. And I'm sure depending on what kind of TV you're using and what the lighting is around the TV and how you've got the contrast and the color set up, could look totally different. Or if you're watching it on an iPad or something else, some type of tablet, Could look totally different. Now it seems to be starting to get more active again. Very interesting. Maybe if I keep the cursor up on the time, it'll keep going. But that shouldn't make any difference because the time keeps moving on the MacBook. It just doesn't move in the window I opened. I still don't see it anywhere else but except for right where I have the camera. Let me turn a little bit more to the east and see if anything's going on over here. See, there's nothing out there going on. Nothing. Even to the west, there isn't anything. That's about the only spot right there. There's not much going on there either. So, pretty much right above that fence post is the only place anything's going on. See what happens if I try to zoom in on it a little more. Right there, that's pretty much it, and you barely can see it. I mean, it's definitely pulsating. And I'm kind of hesitant to push any of these buttons because I'm not sure what they do. Like that one there. It says live, okay. And what's that one do? Tone, warmth. Well, we don't want to mess with either of those. So we'll leave it right where it is. It's really acting strange because 1 minute it'll be like boom, there's nothing, then boom, it changes within seconds. As you can see, if you can see. Now it went totally dark. Then just as fast, it's gone again. So I tried to go continuity with a camera right into my software, but it wouldn't let me use the camera in low light. So I couldn't really see anything. And then I'm like, well, I'll just use the mirroring app on the MacBook Pro. Well, the mirroring app on the MacBook Pro won't let you use your camera. So it's kind of stuck. See, it's pretty much nothing left right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, from what I'm looking at, we're about at 1. We'll give it a few more minutes. If it doesn't flare up again, then I'll call it a night. But we got to give it that one last try. It's kind of like it's out of focus right now. Maybe if I zero in on it a little tighter, it'll come in. Doesn't seem to want it, does it? Even the fence post is not in focus. There, that's better. It's pretty much flattened out. Anywhere else that we can see anything? I don't think so. One more place I might think about going. I'm not quite sure yet. Oh, that's starting to come back again, just when I was ready to give up on it. It's starting to show up again. Let's drive over to that spot that I'm thinking of. I'll leave the camera right where it is. Hopefully it won't bounce around enough to knock itself off. I don't think it will. Find a little bit darker area without any light at all on the ground, but we'll see. Yeah, those trees back there, they still have their leaves on them. I know. I used to mow that lawn, and I'd have to come back like right before Thanksgiving, 30 degrees out, finish cleaning up the leaves. Used to be so aggravating. I've had it both ways. I've had it where I've come out here and it's been 60 degrees, and I'd come out here when it was 30 degrees. More often 30 degrees than 60. The only good thing is my phone is, did I go too far? No, it's right here. My phone's plugged in, so if it falls off, it'll probably stay plugged in. Okay, we'll go up over here. Okay, we'll park right here and we'll see if there's anything better of a view. Any better of a view, I should say. It's getting late. Try to get myself in the same position here as I was. Before. Turn my lights off. And I'll scan the horizon. Other than the moon over there, I don't really see anything. I've just got the phone up right now and I'm looking. See the airport, that's about it. But this is the direction right here that we were looking at before everything started shutting down. And I don't see anything anywhere. Maybe right there a little bit. Right there maybe? Let's keep focused on it right there. Go with that right there. Kind of get above that field. It's surprising how a little bit of light lights that field up. That's what we're looking at, which isn't much. Much at all. So what I'll do is I'll give this a few minutes to see if anything comes up, anything with any color or detail shows up. And if it don't, we'll just call it a night. There's one spot right there, possibly. But I don't even see it doing anything. Right there. I mean, there is some. But not much. Actually, this looks like it's starting to pick up a little bit, from what I can tell. Maybe if I move my hand. Clock's about 10 minutes off again. That's really weird. I should just redo that, not have to worry about it. Let's see here. What do I have plugged in here? I've got the charger plugged in and I've got my equipment plugged in. The question is, can I do this while I'm driving? Well, I'm not driving, but do this while I'm sitting here. Okay, let's delete this. Okay, and then let's make a new one. I'll show you how this is done. You learned something. Okay. make this bigger. Okay, and we go back over here. Now you do this by hitting the control or the option button, holding the option button. And make it smaller. Okay, and then you let go of the option button and you stretch it. Then you go back to the option button and make it smaller. Okay, now let's see when I put it back. And then you can size it, of course, to fit with the rest of the stuff on your line below by just moving it. But we'll see here if it keeps time now or if it falls behind. There's a little bit of waviness to the Aurora there. We just want it to get a little darker. See, it didn't change. It says 1020. So, or 120. So it didn't change. Where is this one? Usually you do that and you stay on it. There it is. It's way at the top. Okay. See? Didn't make a difference for some reason. But if I got like live radar, it shows the live radar animation. It just doesn't stay right where it was set. That one kind of flared up a little bit and then it dropped off. Thought maybe we'd have something for a minute. Apparently not. Yeah, not much left. Well, I'll turn everything off here for a few minutes. And we'll see what happens. Everything off as far as the car, the truck. Some guy was commenting today about that UPS plane that crashed. And he couldn't figure out for the life of himself why somebody would put fuel storage tanks off the end of a runway. And he made a pretty good point there. You know, they could have put those fuel tanks, they were for like recycled oil and gas, I think. I'm not sure. But there were fuel tanks unassociated to the airport on some property off the end of the runway. And he's like, who didn't ever think that would be a problem, possibly? Because I guess it did add to the fire and the mayhem. I mean, the poor pilots, they would have never survived anyways. Fuel tanks are not on the ground. But there were people on the ground that died, and I don't know if it would have made a difference to them either. But why would you put fuel tanks or propane tanks or anything like that off the end of a runway for, say, 3-4 miles? After that, you know, wouldn't make a difference. I mean, can't protect everything from everything, but they were within a quarter mile of the end of the runway. That's not the only place that has that either. I've seen other airports where planes are flying in and out of, and there's like fuel tanks close to, if not right in the flight path, close to the flight path of the approach and takeoff. Where's this little bit of light dancing around over there now? Sure would like to know why this camera bounces. See, now I did that and I moved it, and now it's not bouncing as much. Shoot that up a little farther. Of course, our time needs to be changed again. My disk is almost full. Don't quite understand what that means. Well, things seem to be dropping off really quick here. So, I should have been out here last night. It was much better. Who knows? Maybe it will surprise us tonight. Maybe Thursday night will be better than expected. But it's not much happening anymore. See, now it's coming back a little brighter. I mean, it's definitely still, there's definitely still some action going on to the north, but it's just so weak. I mean, I can see it dancing around on my monitor, but I don't think you can see it on the feed. Stretch down here. Grab some things. I've had my seatbelt on all night, even though I haven't gone anywhere. It's hard to get the things I want to get at when I have my seatbelt on. Okay. interesting going on in the news, I don't think. What the heck is this? Oh. I should probably take my phone that I'm using as a camera right now and switch it with the phone that I use for streaming, continuity camera. Switch everything over to the other one because the phone that I'm using right now, its battery shot on it. It only lasts about half a day. And surprisingly, this newer one that I don't ever use will last through a whole day easily. So I should probably switch the older 14 to the continuity camera and then use the newer 14 as my everyday phone. I don't know if you can hear that or not. It's got to be a coyote out there somewhere. Doesn't sound very happy. Let me see if I can get my laptop closer to the window. Maybe you can hear it. Sounds like it's out on the runway or near it. So, well, I don't think we're going to see much more tonight, to be honest with you. I'm scanning the horizon to the north, and there's nothing. Nothing that stands out. It's one little spot, but I don't think it's going to amount to much. It's right there. Nah. It's a little bit farther to the west than where we were. But I don't think there's much going on. So we've been looking at this, the whole time, trying to figure out when it's going to explode and when it isn't. I think it's pretty much wrapped up. I don't think we're going to see anything else tonight. So I'll show you the picture from last night, if I can find it here real quick. I took this picture here. Just walked out to the street with the garbage can. Okay. And I took this picture. You can't really see it because it's so bright. Let me see if I can adjust it. But I took this picture here. Let me see if I can get it darker. No, I don't think so. I got the camera set up for total darkness. But you can't really see it. It's just, yeah, you can't really see it, but I don't know what I'd have to do to my camera I'd have to go through the settings and change everything for you to see it. But anyways, let me see if I can, I can't get it to go tighter that way. Can you see it in here? No. Well, anyways, I took a picture last night and I just walked out and it's got great color and looks really, let me see if I can incorporate it from my photos here into the picture. Yeah, not that one. Library. Okay. It must be down here farther. So just bear with me for a minute. I'll get to it and see if I can encapsulate it in. Actually, I don't think I can because I don't see it. Well, that's odd. It's not on my camera. It's not on my... No, it's not. Anyways, it's not on my photos in my MacBook Pro. So, but anyways, it was bright colors of red and everything else you can think of. So, with that said, I think it's time to go home and go to bed. So, everybody have a good night. And I'll see you next time. If you watched, thank you for watching. And don't forget to subscribe and like. Until next time, everybody enjoy their Thanksgivings because I probably won't be on. And enjoy your Christmas. And we'll see you probably next year. Unless something happens one of these nights. Or we get some freak storm. So... like I said, thank you for watching. And yeah, I need to find a way to shut this off. Show controls. That helps. Okay, thank you and goodbye.